cleared house, come out, and I told him, look, see where they threw the blanket over and jumped over into the house over there? That's the drug house. He goes, you can't prove that's a drug house. I go, why else is all the homeless and everybody over there? He goes, you can't prove it. I go, that's ridiculous. Of course I can prove it. I go, they're the low-income people in this neighborhood dealing drugs with homeless people, bringing them into our good neighborhood. So then 2 days later, she comes and she goes, Mike, look, they're taking our stuff out of the car. So called the cops. I said, look, there's her stuff. See all the stuff they had pictures of and they showed you all of it? And he goes, you can't prove that's their stuff. I go, what? 15 items come out of a car and we can't prove it looks the same? And he goes, what do you want me to do? I go, how about at least knock on the door? He goes, it'd be a waste of my time. About this time, a little girl shows up and she goes, what's the problem here? And I told her, and she looked at him and said, are you too scared to even walk up to a door and knock on it? And she goaded him into doing it. At that point, we banded together. Luckily, with enough pressure, they finally evicted this guy, got him out, and our neighborhood is good and it's clean again. It is. I don't see homeless people walking in the streets because we got rid of the drug dealers. Not the PD. They didn't help us.
Thank you, sir. That's your time. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Mayor, Councilwoman. With all due respect with the gentleman that came from the self-help program, I would just like to say, the City of Selma, I moved here. I'm not from Selma. My husband was from Selma, so we moved here. And like the other people have mentioned before, I was not looking into living in Selma. I really wasn't, because there was a lot of things going on. We looked into Kingsburg. We did look into Fowler, the outskirts, countryside, and then we found our house. We were very blessed to find a house on 2384 Stephanie Lane. The house was abandoned. It was foreclosed, but we worked really, really hard to get the house to where we're at right now. We are very blessed to have good neighbors. With all due respect, I totally get, people need help. These apartments are supposed to be helping these low-income families. I totally get it. We get it. However, when I was struggling, my husband and I, when we were looking at the homes in Kingsburg, we made too much for certain houses, but yet not enough to get where we were at, where we wanted to be. We wanted to have a family. We wanted to, be our kids to be safe. We are very thankful. We love the City of Selma. We've been here since we gotten married. So I am very thankful to be here. I don't think anybody's intentions are to be bad, to help those who need, but we do have lots of families, and I know plenty of families who are in the middle right now. They don't make enough to purchase a home, but yet they can't get into a regular apartment. And honestly, we need to help those middle-class families, because in reality, that's what they are. They're middle-class families, and they're stuck in the middle. They don't make enough for a house, but yet they make too much for low income. We just really need to serve the middle-class family. I understand, like I said, it's nothing against to help those who are in need. I get it, but there's different types of people in need, not only the low income. We really want to keep the City of Selma just keep growing beautifully. We do have a lot of issues. It's unfortunate that we've been hearing our city come out on ABC 30 like almost every week, and it's not even for a good thing. We are a beautiful city, and I pray that we continue to grow as a beautiful city. And yes, we are going to do our deed and to help those who are really in need. However, but we do really need to focus at cleaning on the issues that we have right now, and not to create any more issues that we really don't need. We are thankful for the neighborhood that we have, and I'm really, really thankful for, the councils, and mayor, you're very involved, and we really, really appreciate that, because we see you all over, and that's great. This is what we need to see more of. We need the papers, the media, and everything else to be publicizing all these good things that we do, instead of all this negative that's been going on. So I really pray that you guys take into consideration that we're not trying to think selfishly. We really just want to help all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Robertson, council members. My name is Ambrose Bruno, 2398 Northview. Selma, longtime resident, graduate of Selma High, 1981. Been a resident since probably 66. Just kind of a little bit about myself. I do a lot with the church and the community, past Grand Night, officers' positions since 91. With that just being said, is I do try to help the community, involved with the community, and I see where the community is going. It's nothing to really brag about. But I see the apartments that they're trying to bring in, beautiful. Kind of look a little bit kind of like the ones that wound up out on Nebraska Avenue. We see what we're kind of dealing with there. I don't mean to embarrass anybody or anything. It's just a true fact. I've been here forever. I don't want to look at it to where we're going to kind of, there's been a lot said, pros and cons, and I don't want to be negative about it. I'm going to flip it a little bit. Why don't we look at it before wise man once said, don't put the cart before the horse. Well, if we're going to go this way, we're going to be looking at the parking. Where were they going to park? Has anybody thought, well, if it's going to go that way, guys, let's clear an area for a substation there, because they're going to need it. What can we do to help our community, our first responders? You guys do what you guys can with what the limited resources, and I applaud you guys. I just think that we need to help them with the resources, take care of the crime, the problem, everything that we're addressing right now. A few days ago, Lord help us all. But the thing of it is maybe at that point in time, we can go back to where we grew up and we hung out with our neighbors. We helped each other. We participated. We took a plate to somebody. But yet right now, I can go down that street, I guess, and go into those beautiful apartments. They're really nice. If the president would like to move into one of them, hey, I'll help him move. But it's not a direction that we need, because I'll probably be able to go over there, instead of trying to offer a plate, they're going to be offering me meth. You know, hey, I appreciate you bringing some food. Hey, you want to drop a line, do something? We can't do that. This is Selma. We're proud of our community, proud of our neighbors, proud of who we are. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark, 3761 Wright Street. And before I get started, I just wanted to say one quick little thing to remind everybody. Selma is one of the most inclusive towns in California, if not in the States. We have everybody here. We have the ultra poor, we have the ultra rich. We are the breadbasket for a lot of the fruit that you buy at the store. We've had everything from Upright to Blocklight to Walmart. We are a great town, and we do have our problems. We do have people who are getting shot way more times than we should have them. We have a police force that's stretched out thin, really thin, which brings into question one very important thing. If we build these cages, these apartments, and they are cages because they don't offer any advantage to the people living there, other than paying the same amount of rent that they paid at the last place they were at, hoping to run away from the same element that will just follow. They don't get to move up, so nothing happens to their benefit. If we have them there, and along with them the criminal element that will come with them, because quite frankly, the people who are going to live there are one of three types of people. People without the documentation to go find and get credit to get a house, people without the income that are stuck in dead-end jobs, or people who don't work at all and make money under the table, doing things that can vary from actual honest living to crime. Those are the three types you're going to get in those facilities. And it's not to kind of stereotype anybody. It's just that's what it is. And to put these people and their families into these cages, like I said, cages. We can call them apartments. They're really not. They have a fence. They're walled in. They have a supervisor who kind of checks and makes sure they do what they're supposed to do. As long as they pay their rent, they're okay. And they have a park and a play yard. Not anything different than a prison, except they get to pay for their way in. Actually, some of us get to pay for them, depending on what subsidies they get. But in the end, they too have to live with all the crime that's going to start there. From a nice looking little park that will become the hangout for guys who don't work, to the parking spaces that will be along Dinuba, because they're not going to park on Wright Street. It's too far away to walk. Which means their kids are going to get hit by cars that are traveling at 60 miles an hour. Now, living on Wright Street, I've seen how fast the cars go by in the morning. They don't stop. They don't even stop at night. We back out fast, we get out of there fast, because if you don't move quick, you're going to get hit. We've seen drive-bys. We've seen the drug houses. We've seen what our neighbors have done to clean it. Everything from cameras to an effort, even without the help of the police. And honestly, we do have police that seem to be there that need some extra training and some extra courage. And I understand that it's a hard job. It's a dangerous job. You don't know what you're going into when you go anywhere. Things can go bad in a second. With that in mind, we all have to come together to make it better. Every single one of us. From the churches to the police department to us neighbors. But the one thing we don't need is another group of cages. Another place for the criminal element to fester, to become another Nebraska apartment.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate them.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we will close the public hearing. Okay, we'll have one more comment.
I still got to say something. Make it true, please.
Make it 3.
Council, are you averse to hearing 3? Everybody good with 3? 3 more. That's
Okay.
it.
First, I'd like to say that we did take up the offer to go over to the Del Rey Apartments and to the Dinuba Apartments. I have pictures of what it would look like if it were coming. I'd love to circulate those around if you want to take a look. But I'm Gladys Griffith, 9885 East Dinuba Avenue. A copy of my letter to the Planning Commission dated September 2nd is included in your packet as pages 66 and 67. I trust that you have read these objections and they still hold true, so I will not try to repeat them orally tonight. Instead, I would like to direct your attention to 2 documents. First, Senate Bill SB 330, which resulted in passing the Housing Crisis Act of 2019. It states, and I quote, "It is the intent of the legislator in enacting the Housing Crisis of 2019 to do the following. It is the policy of the state that development should be guided away from agricultural lands. Therefore, in implementing this section, local jurisdictions should encourage, to the maximum extent practical, filling existing urban areas. Those areas exist within the current city limits, and if we truly do need more apartments, these areas should be utilized first before annexing ag-zoned land." Again, I quote, "A local agency can disapprove a housing development project based on one of the following. The housing development project is proposed on land zoned for agriculture, or which does not," I turned the power off, "or which does not have adequate water or water facilities to serve the project. The Dinuba address is zoned for agriculture, and it does not have adequate sewer facilities to serve the project. It should be disapproved." Now to the second document. Selma's land use element of the general plan, Goal 5, page 10, 1.32 states, "Access to high-density developments within these districts through single-family residential neighborhoods is discouraged. The only way to get to this project is through our single-family residential neighborhoods. It should not be allowed." Same page letter, it states, "Multiple family residential buildings greater than 20 feet in height shall be prohibited within 25 feet of property planned for single-family residence. Their 2-story apartments are more than 20 feet high, so would be prohibited without a 25-foot setback. The proposal only suggests 20 feet. Same page, 1.35 states, driveway access within 175 feet of the intersection of two arterials for multiple family residential should not be permitted. I took a tape measure to see if this is possible on this site. The property measures 300 feet and halfway access is shown on their site plan. That would only be 150 feet from that major arterial intersection.
Ms. Griffith, thank
Yes.
you. That's your time. Appreciate it. Next, please.
Can I let her go? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Jacqueline Harper, 9989 East Dinuba Avenue. The proposed two-story, 84-unit apartment complex is not compatible in this neighborhood. It is an area of one-story, middle-income family residences. Low-income housing tends to have less stability than residences that are purchased or built at the current fair market rate. There are no other apartment complexes in the near vicinity of this proposed project. Therefore, the neighborhood would be greatly affected by this 84-unit housing project. At the present time, the proposed project acreage isn't in the city limits and would have to be annexed to the city. There are other parcels where this project could be built that are currently within the city limits. In filling of existing vacant land within the city limits should be encouraged over development on the periphery of the community. In addition, the sewer line isn't up to standards to add this proposed project. The City of Selma and other property owners should not have to take on the burden of this expense. I won't talk about the traffic study, but with the accidents already occurring, such as the one in the past 2 weeks, the difficulty entering and exiting our residences, 456 additional trips will cause an increased safety issue. And the 19 roadside parking spaces on Dinuba Avenue would certainly be at risk. One can see by the presence of so many people at this meeting that the citizens of the City of Selma are very concerned about this project. We trust that the elected members of the City Council will do their duty for the good of the citizens and reject this proposal.
Thank you. Last speaker.
How you doing, council members? This is Onkar Baines, 3817 Wright Street, right on the corner. I live right across the street from this project right here they want to put through. We had other meetings where we thought this was all denied. There should have been actually hundreds of people here. A lot of the citizens in that area don't know about this. And most of the people, everybody would say no to this. Anybody with common sense would say no to this. I have lived there for 28 years. And let me tell you, from what I've seen, what I've had to fight for the last 15 years, it took a long time to get rid of that, and they're still going on. You guys all know I'm always bothering you guys. Shane's probably tired of me from all the cleaning up, and you guys are. I'm calling all the time for things. I call the police department almost every day. You know what? I've worn out my welcome in this town, to be honest with you. That's why we're moving. That's my sign up there. We can't even leave the town. It's very hard. We're trying fast as we can so we can be out of everybody's hair, because I know every time I call the police, I do all the work for you guys. I have 16 4K cameras up there. I see everything 24/7. Big screens put up there. I see everything. You can't see anything sitting on a corner or in front of my driveway, but you could see everything around that thing. It took me 3 months to put that system up. I had to put it up for myself for my protection because I know we're not protected here in town. I know it's not your guys' fault, but somebody has a responsibility. And that responsibility, you have a job to do. You can't make excuses if you have less people or more people. You gotta do that job. Most people get fired if you don't do your job, right? If you do a poor job and that affects the whole community, that affects every one of these citizens that care. These folks, let me tell you, they don't live here. They don't live here to see what's going on. Not at all. You can say all kinds. Everybody's been so nice. I have no idea why, but I think because we were all tired out from the last few meetings fighting for this. We felt like we not won something. We deserved something for our living here, our protecting our city, cleaning up, taking care of our homes. Instead, right now, every day I have a complaint. Every single day, I call every day, and those concerns are never met. And I'm telling you, Scott, you all know I'm bothering you all the time. And I'm pretty positive everybody at the city is tired of me. And, I had no choice. I'm trying to protect what I built, my home. I had a business. I rallied to keep this town clean. You guys know I still every day go pick up trash. And purposely, the people, some of them that live around us there, which I have on camera, which way they turn, where they go, what car is it, what license plate it is. I pass by their house and I check every single time. It takes time to do all that stuff. And they live amongst us, and they're littering our city, the city that I cared about, where I grew up in. I mean, nobody's doing anything about it. That's pretty sad, We give awards to people, we do all this, but honestly, there's a concern in this city. There's a big problem. And when it hits you, when it's each citizen that feels that pain, that's when everything comes forward to them, so they do something about it. Until then, they let it all go.
Thank you, Ankar. Appreciate it. That's your time.
Scott, last thing is,
That's your time.
I bet you guys are smart enough not to let something bad for this city come in.
Thank you. Appreciate your
thank you.
commentary. Okay. With that, we will close the public hearing and refer the matter back to council. And I'd like to say thank you to everyone for your comments. They're heartfelt, and I know I heard them, and I know the council did too. So we'll refer the matter back to council. Is there any discussion anyone would like to have before we make a vote on this? Councilman Avalos, you want to kick it off?
We heard the concerns of the public, and we'd addressed some issues as far as traffic, and we heard the public on traffic and their concerns out here in the public sector. And when you look at I drive by that area, and I've looked at actually Mr. Onkar's video, his surveillance when he calls. I've looked at his operation. I thank him for it because he's a concerned citizen. I thank him, and when the lady that lives right there off of Dinuba, I've seen her. She has tough time getting on Dinuba. I've seen that. It's a tough area to really be in a situation. And when you put apartments in, a person made a comment. The kids' safety. You live in communities, you want your kids to be safe. And even when they cross the road and everything, especially going to school, and if you have a high traffic area, there's a high probability of it's not safe for the kids to go to school. And we see, and I've seen some high school kids dart across the road, Thank God they haven't been hit. They come close. But the concern is, that particular area, is it viable to be the right fit in that area? And in my perspective, there's other areas in the city of Selma that we can look at that be more safer traffic-wise, actually closer to service trunk lines, more cost-effective. And as far as low-income housing, I'd like to see more low-income housing for seniors, because they're the baby boomers in our society that need affordable housing in this country. If you stop and think about it, they're in need. There are not enough of them. So in my take right now, Scott, I think it doesn't fit the geographical area right now. A different area would fit. We do have another area in our city of Selma that would probably fit that criteria.
Okay, thanks for your comments. Anybody else like to weigh in at this point?
I would. I heard a couple of things, and thank you. I know it's late to be out here on a Monday evening. What we're saying, I think, is really the effect. We all mentioned that the sewer line in our infrastructure in our city is really at capacity, and it's been that way really going on 2 decades. And it seems to punish a community or a neighborhood by putting something in one place, it almost seems forced. Oh, it can help with our sewer infrastructure. It's like saying, oh, because the city didn't do its due diligence in planning and preparing for the future, we're just gonna fit this in here because it fits, like physically fits. But is that best for the community? You know, that's what we have to weigh. And I think, I heard somebody told me that, and I haven't checked this, but they looked up on Google and it says like 48% of the residents in Selma rent. We haven't built quality homes here in going 15, 17 years. The people are leaving not because they want to, it's because we're not giving them options. So I do think Self-Help is a great organization, and I do think there's a fit for him in Selma, but I don't think that Dinuba, this project, is really the best thing overall for the city of Selma at this point.
Thank you.
What I'd like to share with you folks is about a year and a half ago, probably close to 2 years before I was on council and Councilmember Trujillo, previous council members approved a storage, which we had a room full of individuals here that were against the project, which I was part of it myself because I was against the project because in that area, Dinuba Avenue, where we're talking about, is congested. But the previous council, and I'm not saying all the council because it wasn't all, it was just 3 votes, didn't consider the traffic, the additional traffic that is going to go on there. Didn't consider, again, no traffic report. Our citizens have been crying for another signal light there. We need a signal light and we need those roads repaired. But that didn't come in, that wasn't included with this project, nor is it included with this project now. So for that, I was against it then, and I'm going to be against it this time because I don't feel it's a right area because it's too congested. So.
Thank you. Okay.
So, it's my turn. The only concern I have is, I'm going to go back to, where we understand that we don't agree with the project, but I'm a student to Self-Help. I've seen what they've done for not this community, for many communities, and I applaud them. The only problem I have is that our residents have a lot to say in regards to what their property value is, and I applaud you guys because it's true. But as a elected official and a leader here in this community, when I take the oath, I'm representing the seal of the Selma. So what I want to know is, as a council, I bring it back to the council, and the concern I have is when we come to these projects and when someone meets someone, do we understand, does the council and the city staff understand what our general plan is asking for? And take the feel of the community, not just because it's zoned properly and because our founders said that the general plan is going to be this. It's, you take the general plan, but you also look and you take the pulse of the community and say, hey, where's this at? One of the biggest concerns I have about this project is about, in March of this year, I got elected in December, January, and I came to the city hall and I said, hey, I have an individual ready and wanting. Let's seek Self-Help. The individual has the property. The individual has the property. The individual has access to an availability in the sewage. I don't want to lead to that area, but I'm more concerned because of the fact that we're at, how long we're discussing this, and we had prior discussions. Mayor Pro Tem Franco, you were with me with a developer, one of our engineers. We made it reference to the fact that there was a developer out there that wanted, and here we are talking for many hours, have people from our community here saying, hey, this is not right. And we as elected officials need to have to grasp the pulse of our community and put the general plan together and say, hey, what's the betterment of our community? Not just because, like Mayor Pro Tem Franco said, it fits the project. We have an infrastructure problem. We have a trunk lines problem. So we as council members need to let our staff know that there's a concern. And my biggest concern is not in regards to Self-Help, not in regards to the concerns of the community is very important, but at the end of the day, you guys elected us to be the actual leaders to make sure that we can have our staff understand the pulse of our community. So what I ask the council to do is to direct our staff to do a little more research in regards to what our council wants for the future of our community and what vacant lots are available. This project is a viable project for our city of Selma. It just needs to be somewhere else. And let's work together. Let's make some positive together, because we also want some middle income, but we also want the lower income. Because those lower income was us at one time, right? But at the same time, we need to make sure. So we need to check the pulse of our general plan with the pulse of where open lands are. So I ask that the city council direct our staff to say, hey, let's work together and let's implement this, and let's not take it as a negative, but let's take it as a positive and work together to solve this problem. So in that, I say, I vote no for the project, but I appreciate Self-Help being here because they are an asset to our community for the people that do need that. So I recognize them for bringing that to us, but I also recognize that our staff needs to be more diligent in regards to what's going on in our city and placing and pulsing our community to make sure we're heading in the right direction.
Thank you. So, the reason we're sitting here also is because the governor wants 3.5 million new homes, and he wants more residential, and the policies are thrusting the cities in that direction. So there is a big push for more residential, specifically more high-density residential coming from Sacramento, and that's why you're seeing projects like this that are kind of shoehorned into areas that just aren't right. This is unfortunately one of those areas where there's just too much impact on streets. There's not enough parking. It's not safe to have this there. And the remediation to the infrastructure just wouldn't happen fast enough. I'm an alternate on the Local Agency Formation Commission, the LAFCO, which is how you get property from the sphere of influence into the city limits, which would have to happen here. And one of the guiding principles of LAFCO, Cortez, Knox, Hertzberg, is you got to have services that will support that project that's going for the annexation. In this case, those services just aren't there. The transportation's not there. The sewer's not there. It's just not going to fly in any way. With that being said, I appreciate everybody coming out here, and I echo Council Member Guerra's talk about, we've had projects like this before that have come in front of the council, and the council members aren't on council anymore, but I remember that specific project with the storage that people like you folks came out and militated against it, and I agreed with them because it's our job to be your representative out there. At the same time, to have that vision of where do we go with the future development? Let's grow our city. Let's grow it sensibly. And that's just not for the rich people. That's just not for middle income. Just because you are lower income doesn't make you a bad person. So if you are a bad person because you're lower income, does that make you a better person the more income you get? I don't think so. I think what we're talking about is specifically we want safe, clean neighborhoods where we feel safe and our kids feel safe and we have good schools. That's what we want. That's why we're here, and that's why we're up here. So with that, I'll bring it back to council. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to not approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please. First, second.
Mayor Pro Tem Franco.
Aye.
Councilmember Avalos.
No, to deny it, no.
I think aye means deny it.
Deny it,
Yeah.
aye.
Councilmember Guerra.
Aye.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And with that, we will take a 5-minute break and come back at 8:04.